Hi guys, thanks for tuning to this episode of the Nick Egan Times. We have an awesome guest on this episode. We have Suzanne Dean. Suzanne is a life and business coach, publisher and entrepreneur. Suzanne is the CEO and founder of Dean Publishing, and Suzanne shares forward stories. Welcome Suzanne, and thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thanks Nick, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. How's it all going down there?
Yes, good. What part of the world are you in?
Sydney.
Beautiful. I'm in the Masson Ranges in Victoria.
And how has the pandemic affected you?
It hasn't really, because we have a publishing house which is on beautiful 5 acres just across the road from my house. So we were pretty lucky in that aspect that we could walk to work, and work was as usual. We just did things like turn our physical retreats into virtual retreats. So it really hasn't affected us greatly in being able to produce people's books, around the world.
Amazing. All right, let's go back. For the listeners, who is Suzanne Dean?
Susan Dean, she is someone that is passionate about helping others share their stories and teachings forward. So I am a great believer that stories can transform people's lives, and that, if we read a good book, we can, come up with our own transformation, where we may listen to a story that is inspirational and it makes us, decide that we too could do something with our life, or it may be something that we read about that might help us in our business. And again, it may be a story of something that someone's learned in business or in life. And essentially, I love to help people share those stories in a book. And so therefore created a publishing house that is much more than just producing a book. They are books that help people in life, business, in multiple different areas. And so, help them use the book also to build their authority. So that's kind of it in a very quick nutshell.
Amazing. All right, tell me about your life and growing up and your family.
Well, my dad was in the army, so I moved around every 2 years, which was sad when I would leave my friends behind, and it was also challenging when you were the new girl at school, especially when your dad's in the army. A lot of things are organized before, so you might arrive at a hotel and live in a hotel, and, of course, mum's ordered everything on the school uniform list, and of course when you arrive, no one wears the full school uniform. So I would arrive with the long socks and the proper shoes and everything else. So of course it was getting over all those hurdles, I think, that made me who I am today. And then having to put myself out there, make new friends, say goodbye to friends after 2 years, move again. But I really look back now and think that it is definitely a part of who I am. And so then eventually we settled back in Melbourne, which is where I started in prep and grade 1 before I started my journey through schools. And so then I spent most of my high school in the same school, which was great. Growing up, my parents owned one of the very first kind of video shops where we used to have the VHS and beta cassette recording things, and when you used to have the little room which was 18 plus that you had to go into, not like now, all the videos are everywhere. So I suppose I grew up also in an entrepreneurial family where my dad had the business, and from there it was always in me. I then was a youth worker. I worked with adolescents and street kids and the old wards of the state, and then progressed to life coaching. And that kind of took me on the journey to publishing. I always loved poetry and writing. I used to do a lot of that at school, but I think it was just when I would work with these youth that I would tell them a story, like a My Friend John story, like I knew somebody that did this, and they would say, do you think I could do that too? And I would say, of course you can. And so I think that story's always been something that's been threaded throughout my life, that I feel now that I'm in the place where I was meant to be. You know, I am in my 50s now, and, you know, that I've learned, you know, I've been in, you know, gosh, we could be here for 3 hours if I told you my whole life story. But I've been in and out of being a franchisee, franchisor, master franchisee. I've built businesses up from the ground. You know, I've done a lot of things, but now it's like I've found my passion and my why, I believe, for the rest of my life, which is the publishing and the online courses and just helping people share their story and message to the world. So that's the fast version of my interesting life.
Sounds amazing. And yeah, like, wow, I could just imagine all the amazing things you've done, especially the businesses, as you mentioned. So yeah, massive respect for you there. Have you done much traveling in the world? So what places have you been? What's your favorite place you've gone to?
Yeah, I love the relaxation of Bali, Fiji, Thailand. I've been to each of those places and some of them multiple times, like Bali and Thailand. I've done travel through Europe. I just come back from Africa before the pandemic, and that was an amazing trip, and to see the wildlife and just to see that elephants and the giraffes and everyone up so close. It was, you know, you would wake up in the morning and open up the door and you'd see all these, you know, silhouettes of dark, and you'd sit there and go, okay, is that a lion or is that a zebra or what is that, before I leave my hotel room to walk outside. That was an amazing experience. And a lot of my travel, I usually combine it with charity work or give back. Even when we go with the family, we always visit an orphanage in, Thailand. I did a bike ride from Bangkok to Phuket, 800 kilometres over 8 days, and we raised money for an orphanage there. And even in Africa, we went with a company called B1G1.com, which is a business for good charity, where we went and visited some great projects and schools like the Mango Tree Project and different projects where they're helping children house them, families, things like that. So I have done lots of travel, love travel, but I love combining it with some type of charity work as well.
Amazing. All right. Tell me about Dean Publishing, what it's about, how it all transpired, the people you work with. I saw you've got a big team there. So, yeah, talk to me about that.
Yeah, so Dean Publishing came about. I was in partnership with lots of different businesses, and I always felt that what I think is most important is that if you look after and you under promise, over deliver. I think, I've had too many people over promise and under deliver, that I was adamant that when I went out completely on my own, and this is solely, I'm the sole director, that it was going to be done the way that I would love to have been treated. And so I really created a tribe of raving fans with my authors, and, they're amazing. And they, to me, become a part of my family because they share with me things that are very deep and they're very personal. And so, not all of that stuff gets in the book. Sometimes it's just that really caring and sharing, and coming from that coaching background, I've got that expertise to be able to handle that, and so have my team. But when I got out on my own with Dean Publishing, I went, well, there's so many learnings about how to do this, how to write a book, how to do an online course, how to do this. And then I would walk away and be overwhelmed because I wasn't the expert writer, or I wasn't the expert IT person. And I'd end up so overwhelmed that I'd actually get, nothing done, basically. And I'd just get so much knowledge. And so what I decided was, when we built the centre just a couple of years back, we purchased the centre. We built an 18-seater stage and theatre for people to speak their story from, to film their online courses from. And I wanted it to be a one-stop shop where if you're sharing your personal story, you don't have to share it again and again. It's a bit like back in the youth days where you take someone to a counselor and it's like, do I have to repeat this hard story again? Like, this is the real healing process. And I'm not just talking in life. Sometimes people have lost all their money in business and it's a hard thing to talk about. They don't have to repeat it. So my team's all in-house. So if you shared your story, our team knows, our designer for the cover, our editor, they're all getting to know the message so that we can just get over that hard stuff and get into the how-tos and help people write their book. So ours is a real one-stop shop. People can fly in. They can be anywhere in the world. We've got people from Africa, Bali, Indonesia. We've got people from Kuwait and Germany and all around the world that work with us. And we just do that remotely, and we, just like this, we have that conversation and we help write it for them. And we help structure it for them, and they can write as much as they want, or they may just speak it out. So when they leave, they've got that finished product, not just more information on how to. Even with an online course, they can fly in, and we've obviously done lots of work with them structuring and getting the information. They can fly in, have it filmed, have it edited, have it ready just to upload to the platform. So it's a real done-for-you service, but the team here are all hand-selected as people that have got heart. They're not, we base the business, we're not a cheap service as in we're high quality, but people really get to work closely with the team so that they're proud of what they end up with in the end, but not just more knowledge, like actually done for them, a quality product by professionals.
Awesome. You've sold me. Who's the best author you've worked with and why?
Oh, gosh. There's so many. It's like saying, who's your favorite child? You can't do that, right? But let me tell you about one that, many. Gosh, I always talk about one of my clients, Angie. So I'm going to choose another client. Angie wrote Standing Tall from the Inside and didn't grow to her full height. But I love her story because she just is really out there sharing it, but and overcome some great adversities. But even Jess Van Zyl, who wrote I Won, she was a girl in her 20s in the prime of her life who was told not only did she have cancer, but they would have to remove her eye and they couldn't even replace it with a glass eye. So she has an actual eye socket that is sewn over. And Jess really is inspiring because she's a young girl that loves herself for who she is, and she's just out there sharing her message of, that you can be who you want to be no matter what adversities you may come across. So, that's another amazing one. And Erica Kramer is a recent author who overcome massive adversities as well, that talks about resilience and how to be confident. There's so many that it's hard to say. One, Kwa wrote a book, Legless to Legless. He lost both of his legs, and his was a story. But yet we've got people like Milton and so many others that are helping people in business, and especially around COVID time, they need all that help. So it's hard to pick one, but that was kind of a few quick ones off the cuff. And why do I like them? Because they're all essentially are helping people, whether it be in life or in business. They truly are helping someone change their life, change their business, create the dreams that they want. So, they're all my favorites, but they were just a couple of quick ones that have you realize that, there's some pretty awesome people, pretty awesome authors at Dean Publishing.
Right, that's great insights. Thanks for sharing. What inspires you daily?
What inspires me and gets me up every day is really, I was a youth worker, as I said, and I worked with a lot of young kids, and I then moved on to life coaching, and I would work a lot in relationships. I worked with Dr. John Gray, who is the famous author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, that most people do know that book if they don't know John Gray as the author. And so I would help people in relationships, and there was only so many people. And then I would do some business coaching, and then there was only so many people that I could help in a day. Like, I was back to back, and you know, I would be up early and I would be just flat chat. And I thought, how do I expand on this? Was to then, you know, get more and more coaches and grow a coaching business. But I always found the power of stories. So for me, it was this business. Building this business is my why, because the more people I can help get their books out there, the more people I can help get their message out there, then by default, I'm actually doing that ripple effect of helping many people in the world. And that being said, I now have both my daughters who have grown up, finished uni, gone out, got jobs, worked in the big world, then came back and now are working within the business. So I've now got a team of amazing people, including both of my daughters, that are a part of this team. So now I have them to build this legacy for, that is something that I want to leave well past my time here on earth. So that's my why. It's building something that's sustainable, building something that is out there. And if we can get all these books out there, how many people are we then helping by those authors getting their books out there? So for me, it's a ripple effect of making a difference. And every time we make a sale, or with certain books, we sell a certain book, we give back to charity. So the more successful I get, the more people that I get to help, from, you know, sending kids to school, providing, you know, water, just so many other give backs. So that's my kind of why that gets me up every morning. It's kind of multifaceted, but it really is just that giving back and making a difference ultimately.
Excellent. What specifically, out of everything you've done in your career, made you want to be specifically the publisher though? Like, what was the one main point of difference that just said, right, this is it?
I don't know if there was one defining moment, because when I look back, it's actually a really interesting story of how I've got to be where I am now. It was like I was meant to be here. At school, you know, one of the schools that I was at, you know, I remember I love poetry. I love writing poetry. And I wrote a story, and the teacher had put 3 topics up on the board. And one of them was, you know, when aliens landed in our backyard. And one of them was drugs in school. And I remember researching it and writing it. And then when it came to handing back, I thought I was going to get an A. I did a lot of research and writing and creating, and there was metaphors and learnings in there. And in the end, the English teacher wouldn't give me back my book, my story, and said that she had lost it, where I could see it underneath the pile of reports. And in hindsight now, I realize what had happened. The story was so damn good that she believed I was on drugs, and I actually got suspended for 2 days. My dad had to go to the school and explain that he had given me a big army book with all this great research in it, and he had encouraged me, and that I was in my room every night writing. So I think way back then, when I got literally suspended for 2 days for a story that was all made up and researched, that I loved story and what it did. Oops. Sorry about that. I just had my light drop. I think that everything that's happened since then, you know, there's so many stories that have weaved me to here. But I think it's just when someone picks up a book and they read it, and I know that I do, it can just transform your life. And so I think it was just the story, and books come in all different forms. So, you know, the physical book of holding a book, I loved reading a book. So I think it was just that. It was the story. I don't know if there was one catalyst thing. And then now, of course, we're into audiobooks. So we do audiobooks, we do visual books. And the one thing that I haven't mentioned that we also, which is exclusive to Dean Publishing, is we also do virtual books.
Wow. Tell me about virtual books. I personally don't know too much about it.
So virtual books are, where I came up about that was that if someone picks up a book from Amazon or buys a book online, you as the person or the business owner are never going to know their name and email. Unfortunately, Amazon won't share that with you. So what I created was working with a platform of learning management system, worked in creating an app where the Dean Library app allows you to download it on Apple, Android, from your computer. So they can read a book like they would a PDF or like they would an ebook. But now inside of this book, we embed videos, question and answers, photos. You can even put before and after shots. So now inside this book, it comes to life, even videos from the author that says, hey, thanks for downloading my interactive book. I'm so looking forward to seeing what you think of my book. And I really hope that you get a lot out of this, especially chapter 4 where I talk about XYZ. They can add in this. So now all of a sudden the reader is feeling so connected with the author rather than just a still picture printed inside a book. They're now hearing the author speak and they're connecting with the author on another level. And so there's so much you can put in there. Like I said, links through to your podcast, like Erica Kramer in her book. She talks all throughout her book about different things, but she's done a podcast that was relevant to that particular chapter. So she puts the little link in there. Well, rather than the person having to go across, they click the little link straight through to that podcast. If they want to subscribe, they can subscribe. So now the book becomes literally like a media marketing machine for the person, but for the reader, the experience is very kinesthetic. It's not only visually with the videos, it's auditory because they can put meditations in there. They can put, audios in there, like I said, podcasts and things like that, Q&As. But really now the author can actually write notes and highlight things in their book so that they're not ruining their beautifully printed book, which some people don't like writing in a book. Now they can type inside of their book some notes or maybe some things that they want to do. So now all of a sudden the book becomes so much more valuable to the reader, but also to the author who gets to now promote all of what they do, even if that be a retreat and they put a little video in it there, a retreat. So we developed that so that, again, the books aren't transformational and help the reader, but they're really a tool to help someone grow their business as well.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm just gobsmacked. That's awesome. What are your passions? Obviously what you're doing, but what do you like to do in your downtime? What are your hobbies? What are your interests?
I like going for walks. We live in the beautiful Macedon Ranges, so we've got some amazing trail walks. So I love going for walks, and I've found a new passion for Pilates, reformer Pilates, which I love doing. I used to play netball, but now in my 50s, I can't afford to roll that ankle. And so I think that with netball, it was like, time to hang up the netball shoes and the ball and get into something a little bit more easier on the body. So hiking. I've got my hiking sticks and my hiking shoes, and we hike up the mountain. We've got beautiful Mount Macedon and lots of great trails here. And like I said, Pilates, and just sitting back and watching a really good movie. I mean, I've got the 18-seater theatre, so I'm a little bit spoiled, where I've got my little gold class there. So I love a really good movie. I think it's still entwined with story, but I love a really good movie. And of course, going out and enjoying a beautiful food, especially around, we've got beautiful Piper Street in Kyneton and different restaurants that, going out and just enjoying that, even with family and friends, going out and having a nice dinner with a wine and,
What's your favourite movie and what's your favourite food?
Oh, gosh. Favourite movie is Grease. I love Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. Love a bit of a musical as well. And food, I like tapas, bit of everything, but Thai as well. I love Thai food.
Sure. If you were 18 again and you could change things or do specifically anything differently back then, what would you change and how would you change it?
Gosh, if I knew what I knew now back at 18, I'd probably be dangerous. But
it's true.
Yeah. 18. What would I do differently? I think that I would back myself earlier. I think that I would trust my gut and say, you've got this, and not feel that I needed others to show me the way. I think I would have just trusted myself a lot more and just done what, be big and audacious and look, I think that I always have been, but I think that I just would stick to doing what my gut has always told me to do, which is just get out there and do what you love and make a difference. That's probably all I would change, but really not much. I've pretty much had a very great life, even though I've had some great adversities and had some great, learnings through business. I don't think I would change anything because it wouldn't have me be who I am today. But if I was 18, I'd just share more of the message, believe in yourself and just do what you love and not worry about what others think so much or rely on others. Just trust yourself.
Awesome. Without getting too political, where do you see Australia headed going into the future, generally speaking?
Look, I think that my hope is that we are going to do more Australian made, and we're going to rely a little bit more on Australia to produce things, and maybe even from the manufacturing point of view, we start looking a little bit more manufacturing back here in Australia, locally grown. I think a lot of people are looking at locally grown or getting into a little bit more, self-sufficient in that essence. I think travel will come back. I think that I'm not sure it will be back to what it was for a while. I think that especially if they, mandate, I think, the vaccine with travel, I think that some people will select not, and I think that some people are just not going to feel as confident traveling. So I think Australia essentially I think it's slowed down a bit. I think the pandemic's allowed us to take a little bit of a step back and not have to be this hamster on the hamster wheel running like crazy. You see families out there walking all together, instead of having kids in 5 activities that they're running around like crazy, and they're actually taking a step back and smelling the roses. I think that we're in a good place. And I think that we've all learnt a lot. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be really fine, and I think that things will get back to normal, and we'll look back and go, what just happened?
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing your insights and opinion. Are you happy to get the vaccine on a personal note?
On a personal note, I won't be lining up, especially not first in line to get something like that. So no, at this stage, it's a no for me.
Okay, cool. Suzanne, thanks for coming on my podcast. I do appreciate it. I wish you all the success with everything you're doing. I think you're doing amazing things. Even I personally learnt some stuff from you today. So yeah, I look forward to seeing your trajectory, which you're just on this amazing path. And yeah, nothing but respect for you.
Beautiful. I appreciate it, Nick, and thanks so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. Have a great day.